We'll call to order the Bucksport Planning Board meeting for Tuesday, May 7th, 2024. Roll call.
George Hansen.
Here.
Terry Doty.
Here.
Jay Duras.
Here.
Richard Peterson.
Here.
Crystal Harlan.
Here.
Michael Haydick.
Here.
And Mark Neslusen is out tonight.
Item 2, review and acceptance of the meetings, April 2nd, 2024. For the wishes of the board.
No discussion, but I'll make motion to approve the minutes.
I will second it.
Moved and seconded to approve the minutes. Do we need to do any more discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Chair's report, I have none. Code enforcement officers report.
About the only thing of significance that's changed is we passed the short-term rental ordinance minus the section that limited the number that they could have, which in my mind was important because we're losing all our apartments downtown to short-term rentals. And
But
that
is
was
there anything that proves that that's actually what's happening? Like, where's that coming from? Because
I'm
in my
seeing it.
well, no, but I mean, like, in my experience of seeing people switch from short-term to long-term, most of the short-term are either an entire house, not multi-units. If it is a multi-unit, it's like 2, because it's an in-law suite or something like that. So I'm just wondering
I can give you a whole list.
if that's actually, because I think that's a deeper problem that's gonna happen having my own buildings and understanding the laws of landlord. They don't protect landlords. So until that changes, people will turn to short term because they have to make money to pay their taxes to do what they need to do with their property.
I understand.
And I don't think it's necessarily a short term thing. I think it's people are trying to figure out a way to pay their taxes.
We should discuss it during discussion.
Later.
Okay.
Is that
That's pretty much it for the report.
item 7 or no, 9?
Okay, we finished our code enforcement officers report. You have nothing else?
I don't really want to talk about the elephant in the room, so let's just keep
Okay.
moving on.
Unfinished business, we have none. New business, site plan review, construction of a storage facility, applicant Greg and Barbara Nitzkowski, location Park Street.
All right.
Greg, are you here?
I'm here, yes.
Why don't you come up and talk to us about your proposal?
Sure. We're residents of Castine. We'll be full-time residents once our house is completed there. I have a car collection. It's about 20 cars, nothing all that fancy, mostly. The stuff that I lusted after is a 15-year-old, American and Japanese cars and stuff I could, that was reasonable in that time. So I have about 20 of those cars. They're stored in California now. But when we become residents, when the house is done, probably about a year from now, I'd like to have them all here. We'd like to build a facility though that has, we're going to build it in such a way that if somebody wants to use it for commercial purposes, that it's appropriate to that, whether it's maintenance, auto maintenance, storage for a construction company. We're bringing 3-phase in and doing things so that it's a project that if as I get older and older, if that becomes less relevant, that we have a property that is useful to a broad part of the company. That's pretty much that's pretty much it. It'll have stacked those kind of car elevators. If you've ever have a number of those. It'll have a small office and a bathroom, and washer dryer in the sink, and that's pretty much it.
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
So you're going to be able to work on the vehicles in that garage?
I'm not competent to work on.
Oh, I think you're very confident.
He's a hobbyist.
as they say, I have a guy. So I don't plan to, but the building could be used for working on cars.
And I think that's really good, that
Yeah.
you wanna put a building there and have it for that. My concern first off was for safety.
Yeah.
And I see no rear exit, with gasoline gonna be there and other things. I was thinking if there's a safety issue, it would be nice to be able to have something in the back. Think that might be a security issue for you, but I'm not really sure, but I wonder if,
I don't think another door is a serious security issue. I will not be storing gasoline, but obviously there are cars that have gasoline.
and if they're
in them.
worked on, that's
Yeah.
what my concern was.
Yeah. No.
If they're gonna be worked on, then I would hate to have somebody down in the back corner, that can't get out. And so that's what I was looking at when I was looking at this building, thinking about
Yeah.
what ifs, you know? And, I see that you're going to have a bathroom, a half bath there.
Correct.
So that's what prompted me to start thinking, and you answered the question actually by saying, maybe in the future it'll be a commercial building.
Yeah.
So I was looking at it from a point of view as a real garage
Right.
and being utilized in such a fashion. So my question was sprinklers or any other situation that might be code worthy if it were in a certain category, but I don't know, cause I didn't get a chance to talk to my code enforcement officer.
It will have to have, fire marshal approval, because it's over 3,000 square feet, I believe.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so he'll have to have a construction permit from the state fire marshal's office, so they'll look at those things for sure. I know there is some legitimacy to your comment, because you have to have a minimum travel distance to an exit.
That's my thought.
And I don't believe that back wall would, whoops. Sorry. Zoom in here. Is that 90 feet? What is that?
That's 50 feet.
50 feet? Oh, maybe it would then. Still not a bad idea.
If it's a requirement, it's not a problem.
Well,
for us.
I'm
Yeah.
not going with the requirement, it was
Yeah.
just an observation as I was going through
Yeah.
the plans.
Yeah.
Because I can see here, and it looked like you, trailers, lifts, whatever you were going to do to store your vehicles.
Yeah, they're not working lifts, they're the storage lifts.
Right, I understand just
Yeah.
what they are, yeah.
But it's not, it's not a bad idea, and if, I think for our purposes, we won't be working on them, and we're there in and out.
Well, of course, you won't be working on them.
Yes, I won't.
You got a guy.
Yeah, I got a guy, yeah, that actually knows some, that isn't, he is, I'm dangerous when I work on cars. But, as I said, we can,
Yeah, it's very simple.
yeah, we can, if it's, I know it's not a requirement.
No,
We'll-
that- and that's all my
We'll
concern.
discuss it, and we'll see what the fire marshal has to say, and it's a great suggestion. So.
Well, just the thought I was having, if you're down in that back corner with that guy that can do stuff.
Yeah.
My thought was a third garage door in that middle bay, because if you wanna get a car out of the middle and you've got cars parked all the sides, you're gonna have to do a lot of shuffling in order to get them out. But that's personal preference, it's not a code thing, so.
And I imagine you're gonna have heat in there as well?
Minimal, I mean,
Yeah.
essentially, with the storage facility, I mean, the goal is, the ideal would be if we could maintain it
Right.
dehumidified at 50 degrees all the time.
Is it gonna be on
So-
natural gas or propane?
What did we, I don't even know.
Propane.
Propane?
Yep.
And where would the propane tanks be on the building? Cause I didn't see anything for it.
More than likely on the right side, you know, because that's where the driveway comes in, so they.
Right, so again, you would extend that to come around to where the door entry is,
I think
because I
they-
don't see any pathway
Yeah,
to the door.
There's no path, I mean, there'd be a way to get there, obviously, but
Okay,
we
so,
probably wouldn't extend.
and I
the
saw you were
parking
gonna
for
do
that.
crushed stone on this, I
Yeah,
believe.
yeah.
So you do crushed stone to the side as well?
Probably.
to any
yeah,
other-
So they could get there and
Yes.
put their hose.
Okay, so we'd have propane on that side of the building?
Either that side or the other side, but
Okay.
yes, one of the two sides there at the end of the parking area, so they could come, park, bring their hose out, fill it.
We don't see a dumpster going in there, do we?
No,
Okay,
no dumpster.
no. I've been in the thought since it's mostly for storage, you know, so.
And it will be insulated, obviously, since it's heat.
Well, and again, that's where I was going,
Yep,
is
yep.
you're insulating
Yep.
it, you have the half bath, which means somebody can be in there working or doing some cleanup, polishing the cars.
That I'm competent to do, yes, yeah.
So, I guess at this point, I'm sure there may be others that have questions for you.
Anyone? I have no question.
Fine.
Anyone?
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Questions about the site or anything?
I guess the only question I have is, does it meet all your requirements?
Yeah. I mean, other than, yes, like I said, you have to have the fire marshal. You probably already knew that anyway. So,
I had one question, as I was looking at it, you mentioned that, you're gonna have gutters the full length of the building for getting rid of
Yep.
water, stormwater,
Mhm.
and, that it was gonna be, go back to this swale,
yep, back here.
existing swale. And I see a little arrow from the one corner, but
Yeah.
I didn't see any grading that would allow the water from the front side of the building go back
Yes,
to that location.
We collect both of them underground and bring them both that way.
Can you
Oh,
wash in the cars
okay.
in?
So it's not gonna be surface then?
No surface water dumped onto the site. So basically, we collect all that, collect all that roof water, we obviously don't want it running down the front of the building anyway, it'll just
And they set
cause,
up these little
erosion
house around.
and that sort of thing. We wanna collect on the backside, so we're not creating erosion there. So we got gutters coming with the building package, bring them underground, ground them to existing surface swale. So it shouldn't add any impact in that regard to the site.
Thank you.
Luke, do you anticipate there'll be any problems with either the entrance permit or the sewer permit?
No, both of those have already been turned over to the appropriate parties. So, don't know if you've gotten them back yet.
No, and remember when I came here, I didn't
Yeah.
give any money for that, so I don't know if I need to pay those fees or
Yeah,
something.
you'd pay when you pick it up.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, so Jay has the entrance permit, and, the only concern there is that we figure out where it's gonna be before Bobby puts sidewalks in. But other than that, it's, yeah, shouldn't be an issue. And, the sewer permit is, been given to Dave Mishu, and he'll take care of that.
And you can see where the steward,
The stub,
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
it is right there.
so.
Anyone on the board have any other questions? Are we able to make a determination, or do we need more discussion?
I think we need more discussion. Since there's nobody from the public, we open it up.
Unless Lisa has questions.
Yes, I was gonna open up the public forum, but there was no public to open up to, so.
I guess we are the public.
No, I'll raise some issues.
You got an issue with the design?
I guess it's reached a point where if someone on the board wishes to make a motion.
I'll make a motion, for the, proposed, storage facility approval.
Second.
Motion and seconded to approve this application. Any more discussion need to be done? Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Congratulations, sir. You can start your project.
Thank you all very much.
After
Easy
fire.
peasy.
Yes, obviously.
Yeah.
Good, thank you.
Thank you, yep.
Administrative business, we have none. Limited public forum, an opportunity for the public to address the board on matters related to land use or planning in the town of Bucksport. Seeing none, I will move on to item 9,
Ooh, I like
discussion.
Now you can have at it, Chris.
This is where you can ask the
This is
question.
where we get in the
Yeah,
question.
yeah, this,
Yeah.
you
No,
know,
that was,
you know.
it was just more or less just where did we get this information of, where does it show that that is actually short-term, long-term rental buildings? How many have we switched from long-term to short-term?
I just wanted to make a comment, Crystal. I
Yeah.
think if I'm understanding you correctly, Airbnb is what this is all about, I think.
Yes.
right?
Short-term rental, yeah.
Yeah,
Short-term
short-term
rentals.
rental, which I'm all for whatever you wanna do with your property downtown or anyplace else. If you can turn a better dollar on it, you have other facilities that are being built down here for apartments. Maybe that one over here is gonna be an Airbnb, I don't know.
It can't be.
But- Well, there, see?
Because
There-
of which
there-
district
there-
it's
there-
in,
there-
right.
well, no, that is the answer.
Right.
So anybody that wants to build an Airbnb or a bedroom, so I have no, Mark Eastman does it, others do it. I have no issue with anyone doing that.
Yeah.
I think I understand what you're saying, Luke, but I know we've approved quite a few now, buildings, workforce buildings that are gonna be going in.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure downtown is gonna make any real big difference, and I like the money coming into the Airbnbs.
Well, it brings
that
a lot of
peop-
out-of-staters.
Well,
that
that's what
would
I'm
be coming
thinking, and
to
that
our
they wanna
area.
come down to McLeod's and other places to eat. Where the long-term rental, I'm not so sure they wanna go to McLeod's to eat. Not to,
No,
nothing
but-
against McLeod's if you're watching.
The problem is, you need people to work at McLeod's to service those customers, and they need a place to live.
And they're
And,
getting it here in Bucksport in the near
yeah.
future.
Well, that's great and when those are built, but right now, we don't have it. So, I'm watching families being told to find a new place to live,
Mm-hmm.
then they turn around and fix the place up and sell it on, or rent it on short-term rental sites,
Well,
so.
it may happen right up at my, location, at the end
That's-
of Buckley on the left.
That
That's
would
a
be a
two-apartment
new,
unit.
that wouldn't be the same thing I'm talking about. I'm talking about we're losing existing apartments.
What, that is an apartment up there?
Your house?
No, the one across the street from me.
Oh, I thought you were talking about your addition.
No.
Yeah.
No, they're
So-
getting it prepped to ready to sell, and who knows what they're gonna do with that, building, it's got 2 apartments in it,
Yeah,
you know? So,
so, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, so,
Yeah.
you know. And what was proposed was, it was a tiered basis. It wasn't outlawing them. It was,
no, I understand, I
was,
think I know what it was.
yeah, so, in any case, the ordinance is passed, but without that part, and then they're gonna be discussing that at the council or whatever in the
Yep.
future,
So if
so.
a person, my understanding is if a person does get a short-term rental permit or license, however you're wording it, is there a time frame? Do they have to apply every year?
Yeah, they expire on December 31st.
So they would have to reapply for that same property every year?
Correct.
You have to go through
Makes sense.
inspections each time?
Inspections.
Well, the inspection part, but to actually, but if you have it as a short term,
But it's still a
It's
good
the
idea.
same
It's-
process
I
that the
see no
motels and
problem with
hotels
that.
have to go through every year.
which I understand that, but what is there on long term?
There isn't,
Once
What's
it's
the-
inspected, it's inspected, but you,
Right,
but
so
you
you
have
could keep-
turnover on yours, which would be a lot different than a regular apartment building, I would
But
think.
my apartment building gets more damaged by somebody who's been there for years.
Years,
I've
right?
had ones total 'em.
Yeah.
I mean, on, right, I sold a house up on Pine Street, Pond Street, I can't remember now, and they had a long-term tenant there, it was during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
The property was uninhabitable
Wow.
after they left.
I went
And-
through that too in California.
Corner of Pine and Pond, White House,
Huh?
corner of Pine
I don't
and
know if it was
Pond.
Pine and Pond, but it's right around that area, yeah. And,
yeah, I'm familiar,
know,
I dealt with them.
it's,
Yeah.
it happens all the time, and I, unfortunately, I'm not saying that renters are bad, I was a renter, I just think it's a luck of the draw, and no matter what you do to try to protect yourself, there's things that happen, and unfortunately, until there's something for, and again, like, I'm not out there trying to change the laws, I'm just saying that there needs to be some protection for people with their property, and it's less likely that somebody who's there for a week is going to do the damage or be able to do the damage. Nonetheless, cops can go in and remove people, which they cannot do in a long term.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the cops will tell you take them to court. Well, you go to court, it's 30 days, and then you gotta wait another 30 days, and then you gotta have a sheriff come and, you know, it's just this long, drawn out process where you could be going 6 months without rent. That drastically will change if somebody can pay their mortgage or not. Somebody can pay their taxes or not.
Yeah.
That's my thing with the short-term rentals.
I'm all for you.
I
Whatever
ju-
you want
I
to do.
just know, but I'm just saying
I'm
that I
gonna
think
elect
if
you
somebody,
as code enforcement officer.
if somebody, no, if somebody wants to do something with their property, I'm just saying, I think we gotta be I understand the safety aspect of it. I'm just saying, what's the safety aspect on long term? Because are they safe?
They have to have a certificate of occupancy, and if they damage the place and you want me to look at it when they move out, then I can do that. Sometimes tenants ask me to come in and look, but I can't just go into people's homes and,
Because it
Yeah,
also can go the other way. Landlords could not keep the property up, and
Well,
they
there's
don't, and
plenty of
then
those
it's no
around, too.
longer safe or inhabitable for tenants. And I understand that, that I know tenants that I've heard that have said, my property is not being maintained and I'm not paying rent until it's fixed. So I think, I'm just saying, like, why can we make rules on short term and not long term?
what would you like for a rule on long-term?
Well, I'm just saying, if short term has to be inspected for safety feet, all this stuff, why wouldn't a long term?
It's just not how it's done. I don't know. I mean, same with a house. Once you build it and you do the occupancy inspection, I don't come around and inspect your house every year. That's just how it works. But these are being treated more like a hotel motel.
Right.
That's who they're directly competing with, and so they're gonna follow the same safety standards. And I mean, one of the things that we've been around and round about this, but people putting storage sheds in their backyard and throwing a bucket in the back corner and renting it on Airbnb, and they rent it. It's mind-boggling to me.
Oh my God, I could take my place up there and clear out that shed.
You could also put a camper up there.
Whoa, I
And you
can't
could,
wait.
well, you don't have to go short term, just go long term with it. And then if they don't pay the rent, just haul a camper off.
All right, I'm gonna change subject if it's okay. May I
Go
change
ahead,
subject?
go
Okay,
ahead.
'cause he always looks forward to these,
I know he does.
okay?
I
So-
will say this for anybody that's listening. The newspaper said that anybody that had an existing short-term rental was grandfathered and these rules didn't apply to them. That is absolute nonsense. I have no idea where that came from, but the paper is wrong. And everybody that has a short-term rental will be getting a letter letting them know about the new rules and all that.
Well, I'm
Well-
glad to hear that, because I read that and I said, well, it looks to me like the council caved to two people that came to the
No,
hearing.
I don't know where he came up with that. He just,
But the current
and the thing
people
is,
don't
not
have-
only did he watch the meeting online, but he called me and we discussed it at length. And then I see the newspaper article and I'm like, that is not at all what we discussed. So I don't know.
I feel better.
Okay.
I feel bad because there's a lot of people. Sorry, Dick. I'm sorry, Dick. There's
No,
a lot
it's
of people
okay.
out there that probably read that paper and go, "Okay, that doesn't apply to me." You toss the paper and they think, and that just makes my job that much harder because misinformation is hard to fix, harder to fix.
So I don't know if this is appropriate to say or to start out with, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I did find here in Bucksport that we can put lipstick on a pig. Okay, and sell it, and sell it. I'm talking about the fountain up there, which looks all nice and pretty. I'm just saying, it, and now has a nice for sale sign on it, and all of that, after all that work they did up there to make it look, and they put all that lipstick all over it, and you didn't get a chance to look at anything they did on the inside at all. So, what's the status?
Selling it for $2 million turnkey.
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 That's what the ad says.
Okay, all right, that's nice to know, at least you know
Hopefully the
that.
buyer
Is
does
there a
their
new
due
definition of
diligence.
turnkey? out
So what are the odds that they would get a permit to open it up?
0.
Zero. Is that in the article?
What article?
The
Well,
one that
it's not
says
turnkey
turnkey.
It's not
Turnkey.
turnkey if
No.
it's no permit of occupancy there.
No.
So, the court had agreed with the town on the appeal that they should
No. The stop work order.
the stop work order. Okay.
Correct.
They upheld the stop work order.
Correct.
And have we done anything back in the courts that
We
Not
are
stopping?
in the process of discovery
okay,
that ends in the middle of June.
okay,
There'll
'Cause
be some depositions, and then that'll be ending, and then they'll do scheduling of the trial.
okay.
And that's when we'll get to show the truth and hope that the judge can see the truth for what it is.
That they didn't stop.
Correct.
The reason I interjected, I
No,
didn't mean
no,
to
I think that's
interrupt,
good.
Dick, cause I'm thinking turnkey, they sell it for 2 million,
That's not gonna happen.
and somebody buys it and just says, you know, permits, it's open for business.
Well, they showed in Bucksport, you don't need a permit to do anything here.
That's
I
what
mean,
I'm
that's
saying.
really
you know,
what
like-
it's all
But I
about.
think if somebody was gonna spend that much money, they would go in and have everything
You
inspected,
would-
how's the electrical, the plumbing, you know, whatever and stuff, and.
What would be the
would
mechanism
think.
we would use to prevent people from staying there as they're coming to Maine for
Well, I
vacation?
think the biggest thing is when it sells, given the person has some sort of representation that they will do due diligence, and by doing that due diligence, they realize that
Yeah,
there was no
nothing will-
permits pulled,
Nothing will change. I mean,
so hopefully,
I know the owner thinks that he's being picked on, but nothing will change. If somebody else buys it, they still gotta do everything the right way. Fire marshal has said they have to have stamp plans. Fire marshal's not gonna change their mind because they painted it, you know, it's gotta be
No,
done.
Aren't there sprinklers in there,
There's no sprinklers in there.
are there supposed to be sprinklers in there?
It was not required when the place was built, but that's up to the fire marshal now that it's been empty for 3 years.
Yep.
It might be, I don't know. But, you know, they also, how each room has its own individual exit directly to the exterior, so they might allow it to stay the way it is. But I can tell you, there's no fire stops anywhere in there, so you get up into the attic and it's just a giant channel all the way across.
There was a fire there many, many years ago, and we found out quickly there was no fire stop there.
You know, and the same with the chase between the rooms that goes down in the 2-story building. There's a chase that goes both stories all the way down the middle, and that chase has got no fire stops, no fire protection, nothing in there. If fire gets in there, it's just gonna roar right through.
Okay.
So
Well-
I mean, there's a lot of issues. I know they've been doing illegal electrical work in there. I suspect plumbing as well, but they won't let me look.
What about signage?
They didn't pull any permits for signs.
They don't have to. We figured these folks out. They don't live in
There any,
Bucksport.
they can just,
No, it's all gonna be dealt with, just not until after we get through these court cases.
All right, so I gotta ask the,
Because if we deal with it now, it just makes it more stuff for them to latch onto and try and drag it on and make it even longer.
just like this meeting,
Yeah.
okay? So
You
if
brought it
you're
up. I
watching-
said you
If
didn't
you're
want to.
watching out there, Dick Peterson's my name, okay? I don't know how you're doing it. I hope someday we put a stop to it until it's done right. There, you got that statement right from me. So I take you off the hook. Getting to whole oceans now. You know I'm gonna
Who?
ask because, well, the
Who?
whole that
Who?
isn't, it's like a half ocean maybe, I don't know any longer
No
because
ocean.
any updates? Are we doing anything at all trying to communicate with these folks any longer?
No. They're paying their taxes, they own the land, there's not really
Is
anything.
there
they can do.
anyone to communicate
Well,
to?
well,
I
I think,
don't know. Who?
I still think that they promised a lot to
Yeah.
this community when they came in. And they haven't delivered anything on their promises except buying up land that they know is gone way up in value. I'm not opposed to them having it for the value, but I do not like when somebody comes in and says, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna create these jobs, cause the town was going through a very difficult time at that time. You know, the paper mill had closed. They come in and said, okay, we're gonna promise all these jobs. And matter of fact, we got the first, 10 years of salmon sold. And where are we today? Nowhere. Okay, so I'm a little concerned that we're not putting pressure on for the lies, excuse me, not lies yet, and we still have time. But I'm concerned about the fibbing that might have gone on just to get the permits to get the land. That's my concern.
Well, the permits weren't based on the fibbing. The permits were based on the applications that were put before us, and
Yeah.
we approved those. You know, I don't believe that they went through that whole process, hired those engineers, had the whole teams, rented office space, and did all, I think they've intended to go through with it.
I agree with you that that's probably
Things
what they.
changed, COVID happened,
Yes.
you know, pricing came in way different than what they expected, and then teams changed, and then, I
Correct
don't
me
know
if-
what the answer
Correct me
is.
if I'm wrong, normal time for a permit in this town is what?
2 years. Well,
And
a
they were-
year to substantially start, and then a second year.
I
They
understand.
asked for 5.
Well,
They asked for 10. We said 5.
And you gave them 5.
Well, you
because-
gave them 5.
I wasn't here.
I was on
the
that board.
at that time.
We gave them
Oh,
5.
Because, again, the promises they were making, and you
Well,
wanted to
because
treat them right.
It was going to take 10 years for the full build out.
Mm.
So
Yeah, exactly,
Yes.
so that would only make sense that that's what would have gone on at that time. So I'm just kind of looking at it going, there's a piece of property that we don't know what's ever gonna happen with it, and yet it used to employ, what, 600-700 people, maybe more.
Well, they're still paying taxes, right?
Yeah, they pay taxes on an empty piece of property.
They're
And
paying
AIM,
taxes.
if they hadn't bought it, AIM could be doing the same thing. I mean,
Yep.
it's there's really nothing we can do.
All right.
Once their permit runs out, which is.
There's still nothing I can do. I
Right,
mean,
but I'm just saying that essentially they don't even have to pull out a permit, they can just continue doing what they're
Yeah,
doing.
what's the, Crystal, you might be able to help me on this, okay? They were gonna put in fisheries, in effect,
mhm.
all right? But technically, you could put a hotel there and waterfront property. Which one are we charging for? In other words, where's the value? Is
What
it,
you're saying, like, what's the
yeah,
use of
they
the-
bought up that other piece at the last moment down by the dock, I think.
Yeah, that's where they were going to put admin buildings, and they were going to move the nursery down there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What else could that be used for, though? I'm just saying, what are we looking at it as a value versus what the real value in the real world might be today?
Well, it's zoned industrial, so that limits what you can do with it. But I mean, that could, in theory, be changed if we saw fit. But you know, right now, like I said, they own it. We could make all the plans in the world that we want, and
So come October, we could say, hey, we wanna rezone that for some other purpose.
wouldn't make a difference.
I don't know. I only ask the questions. I am not smart enough to know the answers.
There's no point to rezone a piece of property unless somebody has a proposal and it makes sense to do that.
Understood.
So if somebody did wanna come in and put a giant resort there, not that anybody does, please don't print that in the paper.
Why? I think that would be wonderful.
If
A
somebody-
resort sounds good to me.
If somebody wanted to do that, and
A
they
nice
came to us with a
condos would be good.
proposal,
Oh, wouldn't
then
it be nice?
Fix our rental issue,
Yeah,
they'd all end up on Airbnb.
that's okay too.
whatever, short
That
term,
brings all
long
the
term, we
money
got people
downtown. I'm
coming in
good
here.
Give you
for it.
bigger spoons for that bond a little more.
I'm just saying, we could get a bunch of apartments in there.
And my last comment is I saw the big machine up there by across from the hardware store for the solar farm going in.
Yeah,
Quite the machine they brought in for that.
well, that's cause they've gotta cut 20 acres of trees, or no, that one wasn't a 20 acre, that was a 10 acre, that's 2 megawatts. That's,
Right.
that's like
Yeah,
seven
close it.
7 to 10 acres, they gotta cut all those trees, you know, cause it's green.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I saw that. People were actually lining up, starting to watch it. So it was kinda interesting.
Got a lot of work to do up in there.
Oh, I
Yeah.
think they
There
do.
was a
Yeah.
lot of work.
But it's nice to see it's happening.
It's happening.
Yes, I like
That-
happening.
That should be your ray of shining light.
That's what I like.
They haven't taken the trees out of tree growth yet.
That'll
If they
come.
start cutting before they do that, they pay double the fine to the state for that.
Does she know that?
It's not her, it's the
They-
company,
Oh, well.
you know.
So aren't they
The
leasing
state
the
can
land?
use
But
all
yes,
those-
Caitlin has told them multiple times that they need to take that out of tree growth, and they said they knew, and then nothing happens, so.
Oh, wow.
Hopefully they'll take care of that before they start I think they're just putting the road in right now, I think,
Yes.
so hopefully, cause it's very soft out there. You
Yeah.
can tell that they're having to bring in a lot of fill, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's going slow,
Oh, yes, it is going slow. Yep.
you know, so.
Well, that was all I have. You know, my regular stuff that I ask.
While we're on that, they could use a flag person out there, cause there was a dump truck was loaded going, eastbound or northbound. Stopped right in the middle of Route 1 and start backing up.
Oh, boy.
No warning. So,
Yeah.
cutting right across lanes of traffic.
Imagine trying to pull that stuff in July and August out there.
Oh, you can't.
My guess was that was because they were filling in that area right there. They put the big culvert in and
Yeah.
they did that. Now that that's all done, they,
Shouldn't have to do that.
no, the truck should be going right up in there.
I'm looking forward to seeing my safety light put in.
Anything else?
No.
What's the elephant?
Oh, we've already covered the elephant.
Yeah, yeah, oh, the elephant,
I thought it was a
yeah.
pig.
Anything else for the board to discuss? Anything going once? Anything going twice? Item 10, adjournment. Anyone care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Let's discuss it.
You stop it.
I will second.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. Any discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Those opposed? Meeting is adjourned.